bend one knee at a time. You're looking into Hi, my name is Amy Hopkins. I am the Managing Editor of Women's Health and a proud Medshield Ambassador. If you've been following the Medshield movement, you'll see we've been creating amazing health and wellness content to keep you fit and healthy during lockdown. So today's class is a vinyasa-based yoga class. It's totally beginner-friendly, so please just join us and have a good time. I will show the variations through the different postures for different levels of the practice. And if you want some more amazing health and fitness content, make sure that you are checking out medshieldmovement.co.za. Right, let's begin first by coming to the center or top of your mat. We're going to do a few rounds of Sun Salutation A. I will talk through the first round quite slowly and carefully so that we know exactly what we're doing. And the next 2 rounds we'll do a little bit faster on the breath. So firstly, make sure feet are hip width apart. Lift the kneecaps to engage the thighs. Tilt the pelvis forward slightly. Stand up nice and tall. So imagine that you have a rod pulling up through the crown of the head. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Now we begin. Our first posture is Tadasana, or our standing posture. As we inhale, we lift the arms up towards the ceiling, gazing up towards the thumbs. This is our high mountain. As we exhale, we hinge from the hips to forward fold, reaching the hands down for the mat. Now let's take a few moments just to open up the hamstrings, easing into the back of the legs. So here, it doesn't matter if your hands do not touch the mat. Just make sure that you're resting the head down, you're reaching the hands for the mat. You can see I'm bending one knee at a time to just help ease into the hamstrings at the back. And then finding stillness here for a moment. As we inhale, we come into our halfway lift. So straight spines, hands on your shins, or if you're feeling particularly flexible today, maybe you will still reach the mat with your hands. From here, as we exhale, we go into Chaturanga. So place the hands on the mat, step one foot back and then the other. So you're welcome to do Chaturanga on your knees. So for that, you just place the knees down, release the feet, and slowly come all the way down, keeping the elbows tucked into the sides. As we inhale, we come up for our upward facing dog. So here, make sure that your knees and thighs are lifted up off the mat. So we're just going to stay in this posture for 1 round of breath. So you can just feel out how this upward facing dog feels. It's really relaxing for the spine. From here, we're going to exhale, curl over the toes, lift the hips up, downward facing dog. Now again, just to warm up into the hamstrings, we're going to bend one knee at a time. So we call this walking your downward dog. So during this posture, try and make sure that you're reaching the chest closer towards the thighs. Now finding a stillness in your down dog for 1 round of breath. Aim to create that beautiful triangle-like shape with the body. On your next inhale, begin to look forward, step to the top of your mat, and come up for your halfway lift. As we exhale, we forward fold 1 more time. Inhale, we come up, high mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center for our Tadasana. So that is our first round of Sun Salutation A. We're going to do 2 more rounds as part of our warm-up for the class today. So now we'll be moving on the breath. So let's inhale, high mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Chaturanga. Remember, you're welcome to drop down to your knees. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step to the top of your mat. Come up for halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. So this is your Tadasana pose. Let's take 1 round of breath here together before we move into our 3rd round. You should feel the body warming up nicely. You should feel the spine a little bit more mobile, the hamstrings opening up. So let's begin. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, Chaturanga, stepping the feet back, elbows tucked in. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, step to the front of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, high mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center for Tadasana. So well done. That is your warm-up complete. We're now going to gently come down to the mat for our child's pose. So for child's pose, let's open our knees up wide towards the edges of the mat, or just more than hip width apart. From here, we're going to make sure we're sitting down onto the heels, and the aim of this posture is to try and keep the connection of the sit bones to the heels. This might be difficult for some, so just make sure that the whole time you're thinking about extending the tailbone back as you reach the hands forwards. So let's begin to settle into the posture, coming down onto the forearms first. You're welcome to stay here or extend the hands out. So for a more restful posture of our child's pose, you can allow the elbows to relax down. For a more active variation, extend the hands all the way out and even come up onto the fingertips if that feels comfortable. Gently allow the head to come down to the mat and just rest the forehead on the mat. We're here for 3 more breaths, so just enjoy the feeling of the hips opening gently. Enjoy the feeling of the stretch in the upper back. So as much as we're extending forwards, we're also reaching back, elongating the spine. On your next inhale, slowly begin to look up. Let's walk the hands back and come up into your tabletop position. So before we do any movements in our tabletop, let's make sure we're set up correctly. Hands are directly beneath the shoulders, knees are directly beneath the hips. Take your measurement, 2 fists, place them between the knees. That's how you know your knees are the right distance apart. So this is our tabletop position. We're now going to move into a few rounds of cat and cow, just waking up the spine, getting a little bit of mobility going. So let's begin by inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the forehead, looking up towards the ceiling, sticking the bum out. As we exhale, we tilt the pelvis inwards first, then begin to round the spine and look towards your belly button. As we inhale, begin to stick the bum out, drop the belly, slowly begin to look up, feel the opening in the throat and the chest. As we exhale, tilting the pelvis forwards, rounding the spine, press into the mat with the hands, lifting the spine up towards the ceiling. Inhale, drop the belly, begin to look up with the eyes. So we're stretching, not only open the throat area, but also exercising our eyes. As we exhale, we round the spine, pressing into the mat with the hands, feel the stretch for the shoulder blades. Let's inhale one more time for cow, looking all the way up, feeling the curvature of the back as if you had a ball resting on your spine. And as we exhale one more time for cat, imagine the ball is beneath you and you're rounding over it. Inhale for a neutral spine. Let's take one round of breath here together before we move into our next series of movements. We will be staying here in this tabletop posture. If your knees are feeling a little bit sensitive, you're welcome to grab a cushion and just place them underneath. It's very important that we always protect our knees and our joints. So for the next sequence, we're going to inhale, lift and extend the right hand forward, and at the same time, extend the left foot back behind you. We're going to hold just like this for one round of breath, just to make sure that you've got your posture correct. So really reaching the hand forward, reaching back and reaching forward, creating that long line from fingertip to toe. From here, we exhale and we curve our spine like we did for our cat, bringing the elbow and the knee to touch. Inhale to extend back out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Last exhale, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Now, as you exhale, sweep the hand around. Reach for the foot behind you. Once you have that connection, gently begin to kick back. Opening the chest in the front, feeling the squeeze of the glute and the thigh. Just breathe. The most important part of our yoga practice is to focus on the breath. And very gently exhale, begin to release. Now that we're back on our hands and knees in our tabletop position, let's take one round of breath in our neutral spine. As we inhale, we lift and extend the left hand forward. At the same time, extend the right foot back behind you. So again, we're just going to take a breath here to feel out the posture. Really reach forward as much as you are reaching back. Feel the glute engaged to keep the leg lifted. Feel the thigh engaged. We are active, strong bodies in this yoga practice. Now, as we exhale, round the spine, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Exhale, crunch. Inhale to extend back out. Now, as we exhale, sweep the hand around. Reach for that back foot. Once you found that connection, gently begin to kick back, opening the chest, opening the throat, feeling the stretch for the quad muscle. And we're here for a couple of breaths. And on your next exhale, gently begin to release, placing the hands and knees back down onto the mat. Let's take a moment to sit back down onto the heels. If you'd like to take a sip of water now, you're welcome to do so. Throughout the class, I will give some designated water breaks. But of course, listen to your body. That's the most important thing for a yoga practice. It's creating that mind-body connection. If you feel like you need to take a break, you're welcome to come back into that child's pose that we started off in the beginning of class. Have a sip of water and then rejoin when you feel ready. So let's inhale to come back into our tabletop position. Now we're going to move into a great posture for releasing stress on the shoulders and upper back. It's called thread the needle. So as we inhale, we lift the right hand up. As we exhale, we sweep the hand through the left arm and thigh, extending the hand all the way out as far as we can to the left side, placing the right temple on the mat and shoulder. Now walk the fingers of the left hand forward out in front of you. And we stay here for 5 breaths. You can begin to close your eyes gently if that feels comfortable for you. Feel the stretch in around the left shoulder blade area. It should feel quite relaxing. If you would like to, you can always just relax and release that left hand. Perhaps making it a more restorative posture, which would be just to allow the elbow to come down. On your next exhale, let's begin to walk the left hand back between, so it lines underneath the shoulder. As you inhale, we push up, bring the right hand all the way up. Exhale, release back into our tabletop. Now let's thread the needle on the opposite side. We inhale, we lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we bring the hand between the right thigh and arm, placing the left temple on the mat. When you're ready, extend the right hand forward, creating a beautiful square-like shape with the arms. And we're here for 5 breaths. So just enjoy the body settling into the posture. Focus on the breath, trying to create equal length inhales and exhales. Begin to try and quieten the mind. If you find that your thoughts are beginning to wander out the room, just gently guide the mind back to the mat. On your next exhale now, let's walk the right hand to beneath the shoulder. As we inhale, we lift the left hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale to place the hand back down onto the mat. So we're back into our tabletop position. Now from here, we're going to move into a Sphinx Pose, which is really great for the lower back. So gently allow the legs to extend out behind you and come all the way down onto the mat. From here, we begin to move the hands out in front so that the elbows are directly beneath the shoulders. So this is our Sphinx Posture. You can just work the elbows back slightly just to help create a little bit more elevation for the chest. So the idea is we're pressing into the mat, we're lifting the chest up off the mat. Should feel the lower back doing a little bit of work, but it's actually really a nice restorative posture. So we're here just for 5 breaths. The most important part of a yoga practice is always to focus on the breath. It's not a competitive practice. It doesn't matter how flexible you are. It's just about you and the mat, connecting your mind and body, breathing as we go through this moving meditation. Doesn't hurt that it also tones our bodies and helps us burn some calories on the side. Now on your next inhale, let's slowly begin to lift back up, knees up into that tabletop position. Now we're going to move into our Puppies Pose. So here, keeping the knees directly beneath the hips, hip width apart, we slowly begin to come down onto the forearms first. Then we reach the hands all the way out and we bring the forehead to the mat. So this is a really nice stretch for the upper back. It also takes any strain off the lower back, so it's really relaxing for the lower back. If you would like to feel a deeper stretch in the shoulders, then try and kiss the mat or bring your chin to the mat. If that feels a little bit much, just gently rest the forehead onto the mat. And we're here just for 3 more breaths. Very slowly begin to look up. With each of our movements, we move slowly, gently, with intention. So now we're back into our tabletop position. We're now going to move into our low lunge. So we're going to be exercising and working with our quads and our hamstrings. So to begin, we just step our right foot forward from our tabletop position so that the foot is in between the hands for our low lunge. Now we can just begin to sit up gently. You'll see my back knee is down on the mat, but I've just edged it further back, so you should feel the scissoring action of the thighs. We're opening up the pelvis towards the mat. We're feeling a beautiful stretch in that back quad, and we can just rest the hands gently onto that front thigh. So nice opening for the hips. So just breathe here for 3 rounds of breath as we focus on just feeling this opening of the legs, the scissoring action of the thighs. Lovely stretch for the groin and pelvis area. Yoga practice is not a time to hold your stomachs in. We want to feel the breath expand through the chest, through the belly. Now from here, we move into our half splits. Bring the hands down to the mat first. Extend the hips back so that the hips again are directly above the knee. Inch that heel forward if you need to in front, and then flex the toes back towards your face. So this is our half split posture. Really great for stretching out the hamstrings. So if you've been running quite a lot or doing other exercises that have been shortening the hamstrings, maybe cycling, then this is a lovely posture to do just to help stretch out the legs. So you can hold your hand onto that foot, or you can just keep hands rested down on either side of the leg. We're here just for 2 more breaths. Now slowly releasing the hand down if it's not down already. Let's begin to just inch that heel back and we back into our low lunge. So we're doing this twice on each side. If your knee is starting to feel a little bit sensitive on the mat, I do recommend just folding a towel up, placing it underneath, or placing a little cushion underneath that back knee. We're here just for 1 more breath in our low lunge posture on the side. And as we exhale, release the hands down to the mat. Extend the hips back. Wiggle that front heel forward if you need to. Point the toes back so they flex towards the face. Hold onto those toes if you'd like to just create a deeper stretch for that hamstring, or keep the hands on either side of the leg, just assisting with some balance. And enjoy the feeling of the stretch for that lovely right hamstring. On your next exhale, make sure hands are down to the mat, just bend forward into that low lunge, and then we can heel toe the leg out to the side. So now the right foot is on the outside of my right hand. So this is our runner's lunge position. There are a few variations in this posture, so I'm going to talk you through them, and then you must find one that feels comfortable for you to stay in for a full 5 breaths. So one variation is to curl the back toes, lift the back knee. So you should feel a deepening of a stretch all along the front thigh, the back thigh. Again, that scissoring action of the thighs, but a real opening for the hips and the groin. And now from here, you can come down onto the forearms. If your elbows are lifting up in this posture, just place a cushion or a towel beneath the elbows. If you would like to drop that back knee and release the foot, you are welcome to do so. So just find what posture works for you, what variation of the posture. And we're here just for 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, let's come back onto the hands. Curl the back toes and lift the back leg if it's not already lifted. As you exhale, sweep the right foot back so that you're in your high plank. From here, inhale, sweep the left foot forward. Now you're in your runner's lunge on the opposite side. So you know the variations. Let's go to whatever you did on the opposite side. So whether that's dropping the knee or keeping the leg lifted and then coming down onto the forearms. Smiling during this posture is the advanced version. Can feel a little strenuous. Remember that it's so important through the yoga practice to not experience any kind of searing pain. Some discomfort is common when you're working with areas that are tight in the body, but if you do feel any kind of searing pain, please stop what you're doing and go back to the child's posture, child's pose, just to rest for a few rounds of breath before attempting to continue with the practice. It's so important to be mindful of your body. On your next inhale, placing the hands back onto the mat, let's lift up, curl the back toes, lift the back knee, just to help create a little bit of space for movement as we heel toe the foot back to the center of the hands. Now dropping that back knee down, we're in our low lunge on the opposite side. So just wiggle that knee back a little bit more if you need to create a little bit of depth so you can reach down towards the mat. You can just let your hands rest on top of that thigh in the front. Feel the lovely stretch for the quad and the right leg at the back. And we're here for 3 more breaths. So instead of trying hard in the yoga postures, imagine that you're allowing the body to surrender into the pose. So imagine a softening of the body into the postures. As we exhale, we're going to move into our half split. So placing the hands down onto the mat, very gently extend the hips back, and then you can wiggle that front heel forward if you'd like to, flex the toes back towards the face, hold onto the toes with the left hand, or you can keep both hands placed on the mat. And we're just working into stretching that beautiful hamstring on the left side. So important to show your body some love. Yoga is a fantastic healing practice or healing exercise. Complementary for all kinds of sports. We're just here for 1 more breath on the side before we move back into our low lunge. Releasing the hands down to the mat if they're not already there. Begin to bend into that front knee, just working the heel back a little bit if that feels comfortable, and then coming up into the low lunge. So important here that you make sure the front ankle is directly below that front knee. And again, we're feeling that lovely quad stretch at the back on the right side. Remember to always bring the focus back to the breath, so we try and create equal length inhales and exhales, breathing through the nose only. One more breath here before we move back into our half split on the side, the last one for today, unless you do this video again. And let's release down, extend the hips back as you exhale, wiggle the heel forward, flex the toes back towards the face, holding onto the toes just to help encourage that stretch of the hamstring. And we're here just for 2 more breaths. Gently release, coming back into that low lunge, wiggling the foot out to the side or heel toeing, placing the hands firmly down onto the mat. Curl the back toes so you can lift the back knee. As you exhale, sweep that left foot back so that you're in your high plank. Now release down to the mat. Let's sit back down into our heels. Grab a sip of water before we continue with our practice. So from here, we're now going to place the hands back down onto the mat, knees beneath the hips, tabletop. As we curl the toes, we lift the knees, exhale, extend back into your downward facing dog. We're here for 2 more breaths in our down dog. So just try and feel out the posture. Bend your knees if you like, if that feels comfortable for you. I know it can be sometimes uncomfortable if the hamstrings are tight, if the hips are tight. From here, we're going to sweep the right foot forward, placing it between the hands. So now we're in a high lunge. As we inhale, we come up. Let's do a quick posture check-in. Make sure that that front knee is above the ankle. Make sure that that front thigh is as parallel to the mat as it can be. And we hold here for 1 more round of breath. As we exhale, we bring the hands to heart center and we do a prayer twist to the right side. So place the left elbow onto the outside of that right thigh. Squeeze the hands together so they're pressing together tightly in that prayer pose, and feel the gentle twist for the lower spine. So you can begin to look up towards the elbow. And for any of these postures, it doesn't matter if you fall, just try, come back in. This is all about just enjoying the experience and trying something new, or just working on your yoga practice. So we're holding the prayer twist for 1 more round of breath. And we exhale, gently release the hands down to the mat. So you can heel toe the foot out to the side, sweep it back into the high plank. From here, inhale, sweep the left foot forward, heel toe it to the center, come up for our high lunge now on the left side. So again, just checking in, the knee is directly on top of the ankle, the thigh is as parallel to the mat as it can go, hands up towards the ceiling. We're here for 1 breath. And as we exhale, hands to heart center, gently bring the right elbow on the outside of the left thigh. Press the hands together. You can look up towards the top elbow if that feels comfortable, or just look at a spot about 1 meter away from you on the ground. Having a focal point does help the balance. Should feel a lovely twist for that lower spine. Just gentle. We'll be doing more of that later when we end our class for some restorative postures. And as we exhale now, release the hands down to the mat. Just heel toe the foot out to the side and sweep it back. Come back down onto the knees, sitting back down onto the heels for 1 round of breath. It's always important to get back to that mind-body connection. Feel the breath moving throughout the body. So let's meet into our tabletop position. Curl the toes, lift the knees, exhale, downward facing dog. And now we're going to walk the hands to the top of the mat. Inhale, come up for our high mountain. Exhale, hands to heart center. So now for a bit of fun, We're going to play with our tree pose today. Tree pose is such a great posture because it really helps with balance and helps with strengthening the legs. So to begin, we're going to lift the right leg. So let's first start by grounding that left foot into the mat. Spread the toes wide. You can see I've lifted my kneecaps, engaged that thigh. You want strong, sturdy muscles. From here, there are 3 variations for tree pose, so I will guide you through them. Choose the one that works for you. So let's begin. The first variation is to place the foot on the calf. If this feels good for you, you're welcome to stay here. Bring your hands to your heart center. If you'd like to try a second variation, let's bring the foot up into the inner thigh. So very importantly, the foot is never against the knee. Again, most important thing is to protect the joints. So here, we bring our hands back to heart center. So what's also good for this posture is that we're working with the hips, a little bit of hip opening. Now, third variation, and only attempt this if your knees are very healthy and you are feeling flexible today. We bring the foot up into the pelvis. Allow the knee to come out. You can hold the foot here if that feels comfortable, keeping one hand at your heart center, or bring both hands if your foot is able to rest into that pelvis. So whatever variation you choose today, we're staying here for 3 more breaths. So just make sure that you can find that balance. For a bit of fun, I challenge you to close your eyes for 1 second and just see how the body responds to that. It's quite strange how sometimes when we lose that visual focus, we tend to lose some of our balance. This is why through the yoga and practice, we encourage you to find a focal point that you can concentrate on, which will help you balance. Now on your next exhale, let's gently begin to release the foot. You can give the leg a little wiggle, 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 just to release the work we've done. Let's take a few moments to bend one knee at a time, just loosening into the legs before we set up for the opposite side. So now as we inhale, we lift the left foot. Initially, first variation on the calf. If you'd like to try the second variation, up into the thigh. I encourage that whatever you do on one side, you do the same on the other. Third variation, foot into the pelvis, and then bringing the hands to the heart center. Again, if you'd like to try something fun, try and close your eyes here for a second. Just see how it feels. It doesn't matter if you fall. Just come back into the posture. We keep trying. And we're here just for 2 more breaths on the side. As we exhale, grab hold of the foot, give the leg a little kick, kick, kick. Beautiful work, everyone. That was quite fun, a little bit of fun practice for this morning. Now just bending one knee at a time. We're gently going to come back down to the mat, so let's inhale, hands to the ceiling. High mountain, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, your last Chaturanga of the day. Make it a good one. Lower yourself down, elbows into the waist. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Releasing the knees down to the mat. I encourage you to take a last sip of water now if you'd like to, because the rest of the postures we'll be doing lying down. There we go. So just scoot your legs down, extend them out in front of you, gently lower the spine down to the mat. Make sure that your head is resting comfortably. If you have a ponytail or something, you might need to adjust it. Just make sure that your head is flat on the mat. Tuck your chin slightly so that you can elongate the neck. Let's take 1 round of breath here together as we just feel the body grounding into the mat. Now on your next inhale, let's lift the knees up towards the ceiling. Make sure that your ankles are close enough to your hips that you can graze them with your fingertips. We're going to move into 2 rounds of bridge pose now. So for the first round, I'd like you to just keep your hands and arms resting gently next to your body. As we inhale, we begin to lift the lower, middle, then upper back. So let's start. Inhale, lift up. Now squeeze the glutes and engage the thighs to take the pressure off the spine, lifting the pelvis up towards the ceiling. So we're creating a beautiful straight line from the knees to the shoulders. And we're just holding here for 2 breaths. As we exhale, we now begin to release first the upper back, then the middle back, then the lower back, imprinting the whole spine down onto the mat for a moment. And as we exhale, we release for a neutral spine. Now for the second round of bridge, we're going to bring the hands beneath us, clasping them and pressing them into the mat to help create more lift. So let's inhale, lifting first the lower, then the middle, then the upper back. Roll one shoulder and then the other underneath. Reach the hands, clasp them together, press them into the mat. Feel the lift, taking the weight out of the spine or the strain out of the spine. Remember to keep engaging those glutes, engaging the thigh. And we're here just for 2 more breaths. First, begin to release the hands and allow the shoulders to come back to neutral. Then, as you exhale, lower first the upper back, then the middle, then the lower back, all the way down onto the mat. Beautiful work. As we inhale now, we lift both knees into the chest, wrapping the arms around the shins. Hold on to opposite elbows if you can, or try grab where it feels comfortable enough for you to create the compression of the thighs pressing against the torso. So as you inhale, the belly expands. You should really feel it lift up and press against the thighs. This is actually such a great posture for your digestive system. It's also really nice for the lower back. And at the same time, you're feeling a stretch along the thighs. We're here for 3 more breaths. So just enjoy finding stillness in this posture. Now for another 3 breaths, I'd like you to gently begin to rock from left to right. So imagine that you are massaging out the spine. This is a gentle, slow movement of the body. It should feel really comfortable. Just feel the body relaxing down onto the mat. Finding stillness now in your posture. Very gently on your next exhale, we're going to release the left leg down to the mat. So release the leg, allow it to extend all the way out in front of you, placing both hands on top of that right shin. So we're pressing the right thigh into the torso. In fact, take it out gently so it's closer towards outside the right side of the body. Imagine the knee is coming up into the right armpit area. So you're feeling the compression of the thigh against the right side of the torso. Again, this is another great posture for your digestive system. And we're here for 3 more breaths. So just feel that lovely compression of the thigh, the stretch of the legs. On your next inhale, let's bring the left knee into the chest to meet the right. As we exhale, we release the right leg all the way down to the mat. Now placing both hands onto that left shin, squeeze that left thigh down against the torso. So remember, we're taking it out a little bit towards the left side of the body, reaching the knee up towards that left armpit area. And we're here for 3 breaths. You should start feeling the body really relaxing down into the mat, a grounding feeling, slowing of the heart rate. You're welcome to close your eyes for the remainder of these postures. It may help just aid in your relaxation. Now as we exhale, we're going to release that left foot down to the mat. Inhale to bring the right foot in to meet the left. So the knees are pointed up towards the ceiling. Now you're going to bring the feet together, bring the knees to touch, extend the arms out to the side of the mat so that they're in a T-like shape. From here, we're moving into our supine twist, beginning with the right side. So as we exhale, we gently allow the knees to drop down together to the right-hand side. You should feel instinctively that your face wants to look towards the left. So just gently begin to look towards the left hand and just allow the knees to soften down to the point that feels comfortable for you. So it doesn't matter if they aren't touching the mat. Most importantly, both shoulder blades are still in the mat. And you can just feel the right thigh softening down towards the right side. This is a lovely stretch for the lower back, just releasing any last bits of tension that we might be holding there. We're just here for one more breath on the side. And as we inhale, we slowly begin to bring the knees back up through to center. Let's take one round of breath here in the center. And on your next exhale, we begin to gently drop the knees down over to the left-hand side. So just slowly feeling the legs weight down, gently begin to look towards the right hand. Feel the softening of the body. Try and even focus on softening the facial muscles. Make sure you're not frowning in any way. Enjoy that lovely feeling of the release in the lower back. We're here just for one more round of breath. And on your next inhale, very slowly begin to lift the knees back up through to center, looking up towards your knees. So now we're going to just shift the feet slightly, open them so that they're hip width apart. The knees are now a little bit apart. You should again be able to place those two fists between the knees. Lying back down, remember to tuck the chin to elongate the neck, extending the arms into that T-like shape if they've adjusted. Now, this posture is quite fun. It's called our windscreen wiper motion. So just imagine that you've got a windscreen wiper with your legs. So keeping the feet where they are, knees where they are, we're going to exhale, gently drop down to the left side. So you should see the knees parting. Perhaps your right knee comes close to where your left foot is. As we inhale, we come back up through center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, come back up through to center. Exhale over to the left. So this is a slow, gentle movement that we do on the breath, just easing out that lower back. It's really relaxing. If you struggle with lower back pain, it's such a great posture to do if you have just 5 minutes in your day. Particularly if you spend a lot of time sitting at a computer, crunched over a desk, or maybe over a bicycle. So you've just got a couple of these left. And last inhale back up through to center. Now I'd like you to take your hands, reach them around each of the shins. We're going to just do gentle rocking movements, forward and backwards, massaging out the spine. And on about your 5th or 6th movement or roll, we're going to gently come into our seated position. So just settling into your comfortable seat. We are going to just end our class this morning with a breathing exercise. So let's begin by just gently shrugging the shoulders up and down, releasing them. So let's sit nice and tall. Imagine that rod is still pulling up through the crown of your head. You can relax with your hands, just gently open over the knees. Or you can allow the hands to just rest into your lap. So whatever feels comfortable for you in this posture. The breathing exercise that we're going to end with is really great for creating relaxation, for creating a sense of calm. And we go to the rhythm of 4, 7, and 8. So we inhale for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and we exhale slowly and softly through a count of 8. All done through the nose as we inhale. And then if you'd like to try this, you can exhale gently with a shh sound, or you can just exhale softly through the nose. So pick something that will work for you today, or perhaps try both. Let's begin by taking our inhale together. So inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's take one big inhale together as we lift our hands up towards the ceiling, extending and reaching the hands up. And as we exhale, bring the hands to heart center, gently bowing your forehead to your fingertips, sealing off your morning's practice, taking a moment just to thank yourself for giving yourself this gift of a beautiful yoga practice to help heal the body, to create this moving meditation, showing yourself some love. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. It was such a pleasure to have you here. And thanks for tuning in to the Medshield movement page. There's so many cool, great fitness and healthy wellness things happening. So make sure that you are following the Medshield movement on social media and that you check out medshieldmovement.co.za. Thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you again soon. Please, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. I'll hang around for a bit on Facebook, so I'll check the comments. If you have any questions, I'll go through them now, and we can talk a little bit more about the yoga practice. So let's have a look and see. I see some comments about the mind-body connection. Absolutely, it is so important. It's one of the most important parts of our yoga practice and other practices like Pilates. It really helps you to understand and take those moments to appreciate what's happening in your body. It helps with things like injury prevention, because sometimes we don't always give ourselves the time to really hone into our bodies, to feel what we need, to feel where we're feeling tight and cranky. So just really focusing on having that time to create the mind-body connection is so important. So thank you, everyone. I'm seeing such great comments here. It was wonderful having everyone play. I see someone brought their 2-year-old. This is so fantastic. A lot of these postures were perfect for kids to join along. So thank you, everyone. It is always so great to just connect with everyone. I know that we've been under lockdown and that of course we're missing our friends and family, but having social media and internet and Medshield starting this amazing Medshield movement has been such a great way to just stay connected and to stay motivated to be fit and healthy and show ourselves some love, of course. Thank you about the breathing exercise. What's so great is that initially it feels hard because you have to control the inhales quite deep but shorter than the exhale. So I think some advice when you are doing the exhale, if you're doing it through the nose, is to imagine that there's a candle in front of you and you want to exhale softly and gently, so softly that you don't blow out the flame. So it just helps you to really calm down the breath and focus on slowing down, which again just reiterates that sensation of calm and relaxation. Oh, hips, I know my hips get so tight from running and cycling as well. So doing child's pose like we did near the beginning of class is such a great posture. It's very restorative and also just helps to really open up and work into the hips. So you can stay in a posture like that for 5 to 10 minutes even. It's really a lovely restorative posture. So any tips for beginners if you're not so flexible? Do a practice like we did today, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. I know that it starts off and it feels hard, but even doing rounds of the sun salutations A that we did in the beginning really helps with flexibility, because when we do our down dog and our forward fold, we're working into those hamstrings. The tricky thing is for someone like me who runs and cycles, I definitely get tight in those hamstring and hip areas. So for me, it's really important that I do my yoga practice and that I keep working on just easing out those muscles and stretching them out. It's very important for injury prevention as well. So tips for beginner, absolutely do your sun salutation A's, do them slowly, stay in the postures, hold them for some time, and just be kind to yourself. We're not all super flexible. We do lots of other things, other sports that tighten up the body. So just be patient and gentle with yourself when you move through the postures. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm just trying to see if there are any other last questions here. It's always important to focus on that breath, keeping it as equal as possible, the inhales and exhales as you move through the practice. Just see any last questions, but I think yes, you will get there. I promise that consistency is key, especially with yoga practice. If you start practicing 3 to 4 times a week, even if you're doing those half-hour sessions, or even if you do 10 to 15 minutes every morning, you will see a difference. It will really make a difference in guiding and helping that flexibility, but also creating that sense of calm. I think it's so important if you can just set aside 10 to 15 minutes every day, maybe it's at nighttime before you're winding down to get into bed, that we do some slow restorative practice, or when you wake up in the morning, just to get into the body, work through the kinks of the body and help set you up for the day in a really lovely way, so that you kind of approach the day already with a sense of calm and sense of knowing of self. So thanks everyone. I think that was all the questions that I saw for today. So you're always welcome to send me a direct message as well. Oh, sorry, I'm seeing one more question here. Yes, so lower back absolutely connected to the hamstrings. So we did some workouts today that were focusing on that. So particularly your forward fold is really good for that, because it allows the lower back to just release and you're stretching your hamstrings out at the same time. Our child's pose is great because it's sometimes the tight hips that also go into the lower back. So we're just opening the hips and at the same time extending the back forward. So also really great. And down dog, I know it's uncomfortable, but it really does work and helps with the lower back and releasing of the hamstrings. So you can definitely do this routine that we just did 2 or 3 times a week and you should see some improvement for sure. Thank you, Scott, for your question. So I think that's all, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend further. Namaste, look after yourselves, stay healthy, follow the Medshield movement.